Welcome into another edition of the Pressing Coverage brought to you by the Cold Front Report. I'm your host, Greg the Sports Bully Boucher, and today I got a very, very special guest in the house, Mr. E.J. Daniels. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Appreciate you having me on, Greg, for one of the inaugural episodes of the Pressing Coverage. I know you did one yesterday, so I appreciate you having me on for the second one. Appreciate it, man.
You are the first guest on the show, so there's definitely,
okay.
yeah. So you're going to take a seat in the Hall of Fame right now. So
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I'm glad you're here. I know you and I we've had some heated discussions during our draft debate talks. So the idea is to kind of keep those things going over here on Pressing Coverage. And for those of you who are tuning in and checking out the show, what we're doing here is we're going to delve into a lot of the hot button topics that are circulating around, Bills Mafia and on Twitterverse and the social media scene as it pertains to the Buffalo Bills. And there's a lot of garbage to sift through out there. Obviously, this is the off season, and we're kind of idle hands at play right now. We're not watching any games every Sunday, so people are the conspiracy theories are running wild, and I think a lot of people are getting a little carried away out there. But so we got a few subjects we're going to cover tonight, and we're going to jump right in. And the first question: was Gregory Rousseau the right pick for the Bills at 30? EJ Daniels, what do you think?
Was it the right pick? I mean, who's to say it's the right pick? Greg, who was I pounding the table for so hard, many shoes?
That's why I got you on here, man, because I know you were going to be a sense of resistance for this question.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bills Mafia been clamoring for a cornerback, too, for how long, man? It's just like you had one of the best corners, the most instinctive corner in my estimation, in the draft on the board at 30 with Asante Samuel Jr. You had him right there. I mean, why not take him? I mean, and it's a pass rush, versus coverage thing. And when you got to go against the Bucks, a couple games, you got to go against the Chiefs. I mean, you got to go against these high-powered passing attacks. I mean, why not, get a top-notch corner that's instinctive and that can play in a zone scheme like the Bills run? I mean, people talk about his size and all that, but, I think he would have done really well in this Bills scheme. But to get back to the question,
I take it you're high on Asante Samuels over. I
always try
Asante Samuels, then Gregory Rousseau, somewhere in that
yes,
order?
Man. Listen, I always try to go. I hate to go off on a tangent, but I'm gonna stick to the.
No, hey, that's what this show's about. Is about tangents. So carry on.
So Bean kind of already prepped us for it. If you remember, he said he's like, this draft we're looking towards the future, and he stuck true to his word. I mean, pretty much every pick they made was a pick was somebody that can play down the line, maybe with the exception of Basham, but pretty much everyone they drafted could play down the line or be a major contributor down the line. So with Rousseau, as I gave you props off air, Greg, I know you were the first one to be like, you know what?
Yep.
Gregory Rousseau might be the best D end in this draft, and we all laughed at you.
Exactly. I want all you guys to know, everyone that's tuning in, listen to the show, I went through hell on our draft show when I brought up Gregory Rousseau as the best pass rusher available in this draft. I got crapped on. I got ridiculed. I even got hammered in the comments. But, I mean, hey, I had the foresight. Brandon Bean, if you're out there, if you're listening, give me a call, man. I'm on the same page as you, bro.
He got to now.
Yeah.
He got, because clearly y'all thinking on the same wavelength. Clearly. So in that aspect, you were correct. And like I said, Bean and the Brain Trust over at the Bills thought pretty much the same thing. With some tutelage, some coaching, we may have a top 10 pass rusher on our hands. And so to go back to the thesis of the question, was it the right pick? Who's to say? But was it a pick that I understand and was already prepped for? Yes.
Yeah.
Because Gregory Rousseau, he has tools. He's what they call a toolsy prospect. If you could think, if there's a poster child for prospect, it's Gregory Rousseau. He's got long arms, tall frame. His frame is like really his biggest tool and his biggest attributes, and the things that you can do with that frame is a myriad of different options. As I told you guys in our group chat, he's been working because he didn't play in 2020, and then in 2019 he had 15 and a half sacks. Granted, it was against centers and guards, and it wasn't true pass rush sets against tackles, but he did have 15 and a half sacks. So he has been working with Chuck Smith, former defensive end from the Atlanta Falcons, working on his pass rush moves. And as I told you, Greg, on our show, I seen it from this perspective. If he was to have a trajectory where he could either just reach his floor, just get like a low floor,
Yep.
I still think he could be like a top 20 pass rusher in this league. And when I sat and thought about the pick, after I was upset at first, but when I sat and thought about the pick and thought about what Bean had said prior to that and thought about his plan going forward, I can't hate on this pick. I mean, if you feel like the Chiefs, your outlet to beating the Chiefs is to beef up your pass rush, throw the kitchen sink at it then. Get the guy you feel is the best pass rusher.
They definitely threw the kitchen sink at it,
Exactly.
See, now, I mean, that shows a lot of guts on your part there, because I know how hard it is to swallow the Gregory Rousseau pick. But, I mean, for me, in all honesty, now, as a prospect, as an evaluator, I liked what I saw in Rousseau. And like I said, you just touched on it. He projects to the future. There's a lot of tools there. And what he can do, you don't necessarily know. He had 1 year of football. Mm-hmm. And people talk about the 15 sacks, and I throw that out the window. That's crap to me. Those sacks, and we talked about it, those don't mean anything to me. And that's not why I thought he was going to be a top kind of pass rusher, not because he beat up on slow guards and centers and had 5 sacks against a garbage Florida State team. Is that his size is uncanny. Mm-hmm. That length and that size, and that he's young, and not let me pump the brakes. I'm not comparing him to Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying in terms of the prospect, when you go back and you look at Josh Allen didn't show you a ton of good film at Wyoming. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a great looking prospect. You didn't look at him and go, wow, that's a quarterback that you didn't see where he is right now. You didn't see that. And if you did, you're Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, because not a lot of people looked at Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming, a big, strong kid with a big arm who was inaccurate and had a gunslinger mentality and did a lot of things wrong mechanically, footwork, all that stuff, and said he's going to be in 3 years he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, to Gregory Rousseau, he has a lot of those traits too, where you don't look at his film and say, wow, this guy's going to be great. And I'm not saying he's going to be the next Bruce Smith. I just think that he has that type of mold and that type of ability to be that guy. So to answer the question, was Gregory Rousseau the right pick? I agree with you. I don't think he was the right pick. Now, why would I say that after I just love this guy up? And I think there were better players on the board. I honestly do. And I think we could have done, especially if you look at, we went and got Carlos Basham with the next pick, who I think is the most NFL ready, probably next to Kwity Paye in this draft. So we got him in the second round. Now, I get, like I said, we're throwing a kitchen sink. We're going to solve this pass rush issue. We're building for the future. But if we went and got that corner in round 1, we all agree, cornerback 2 has been a travesty on this team for how long? Years since we've had a solid. Now we got. So I thought the opportunity was there. I also was very, very high. We all were on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah solving that problem there at linebacker, and he was on the board, and I get it. There were some medical concerns, but I think the pick was wrong. And I know people are going to give me some heat for that, but I'm not questioning what Bean did. I obviously, I said I like the prospect. I just think since we got the pass rusher in the second round, and we have A.J. Epinesa, who I think is going to have a great year next year, and I'm not opposed to having Rousseau. I like him, but I just think if we did things differently with that first pick, the way this thing plays out looks a lot better. I think we needed that corner. So this tells me that, Bean and them must be super high on Dane Jackson, or they're just ready to throw everything and fix the pass rush, and that's going to solve the other problems.
So here's a question I have for you then.
Lay it on me, baby.
Let's say they took... Let's say the picks were reversed. Let's say if they did Basham then Rousseau, would you have liked it more? Because remember on the draft show, you were also high on Basham, and you were saying the same thing, like he could contribute right away too. So if they flipped the picks, would you have liked him a lot more?
I would have had no problems with Basham being pick 30. Then I think Rousseau in the second round, 61, I think that would have made less sense because I think you could have gone in a different direction easily because you got that pass rusher. I think the fact that Basham was there in the second round kind of, in a sense, saved the Rousseau pick on its face. Obviously, we can go back in 5 years and say, wow, the Rousseau pick was a Josh Allen pick. This guy is a perennial, stud. But I think if we're just going apples to apples here, I think Basham at 30 and Rousseau at 61, I think that would have been kind of crap to me. I think that we could have definitely, but Basham to me at 61 saved the 30 pick. So now you don't have to have Rousseau be all anything. He could take time to develop. He could ease into it. He can grow up. I think he's only 21, and he's only played 1 year of football. Where Basham is, 23? He's got 4 years experience. I think 5 years at Wake Forest. He's NFL ready now. So I like where we're at. I'm not complaining about it, but I think if I could rewind the clock, I would have gone elsewhere at 30. What say you?
Yeah.
So your final say is what?
My final say is, Greg, it's tough, man. Like, Greg, I gotta go incomplete. I said it on draft night. I'm incomplete.
Listen,
I know.
There will be no incompletes on this show. You stand, you make your bed, and you sleep in it, Daniels.
Okay, it was the right pick because here's why. Because they do, like you said, they're doing the Josh Allen thing. They're taking a super toolsy prospect, and they're saying, hey, we got the coaching staff. We've got the other players around him to make him better, and he will solve our pass rushing problems down the line. Maybe it's not this year, but he will be a contributor down the line. We've done it with Josh Allen. We've done it to a certain degree with Tremaine Edmunds, a certain degree.
We will delve into that shortly.
Right. We've done it with Tremaine Edmunds, so we can definitely do it with another edge rusher. They needed somebody to replace Jerry Hughes. Like you said, the pick was saved with Basham. So, again, and then on top of that, Bean had already told us that all the picks that he's making is going to be picks for the future. So, yes,
all right,
it was the right pick.
A one yay and a one nay here. So, it's very interesting that you just brought up Mr. Tremaine Edmunds, because that's where we're going to next. Now, the question that's been posed out there, and this has been brewing for, this question, I feel like it's been on the tip of my tongue, and the whole issue with it has been the bane of my existence. And do you believe that Bills Mafia overrate Tremaine Edmunds?
No question about it. They overrate like 90% of the Bills players. I mean, this is the thing about Tremaine Edmunds. So I'm gonna try to make this rant as short as possible because I don't want to talk so long. But this is the thing with Bills Mafia, and this is the thing that I constantly say. Interview and show after show after show, that you guys do not watch film, and so you guys watch broadcast games, and that's it. And that is not.
Hold on. He had 100 tackles, dude.
Remember?
You saw his stat sheet, right? I mean, he had 100 tackles.
Remember, Greg? Remember the guy that came on my Twitter talking about that? Remember?
Yeah.
Telling something. Oh, he had 100 tackles. Like, let's delve into that then, because you play ball, I play ball. We know. And this is for Bills Mafia because I want to educate also, because I don't want to sit here and rant. I want to educate.
Yep.
All tackles are not created equal. Just think about it. If, let's say they're playing the Seahawks, whatever. Chris Carson busts through the A-gap and he gets 6 yards and Tremaine Edmunds makes the tackle. Tell me what he did. I want you to tell me what he did. He got a tackle, but what did he do on the tackle?
He saved it from becoming a 7-yard plus gain.
Exactly, but Chris Carson just altered down in distance, right? Now they got another favorable down in distance. So that tackle means nothing. It really, in hindsight, it really means absolutely nothing because he still altered down in distance. Now, if he would have got a tackle for loss, then we're talking about something. I'm sitting here and I have Tremaine Edmunds stats up, right? And I'm looking at all of his pressures. He only has, he has 6 sacks for his career. He had 1 sack this year. 3 in 19, 2 in his rookie year. Like, he really doesn't pressure the quarterback a lot, and he really, a lot of the times, loses gap integrity a lot. He makes a lot of misreads, but these are the things that you can see on tape. This isn't like you need some type of football degree to understand what he's messing up. And you got the Nate Jerry's and you got all the dudes on Cover One talking about, it's the scheme that makes Tremaine Edmunds so bad. Okay, then. Well, if he's as good as you guys, say he should be scheme proof, correct?
So let me be devil's advocate for you here. As I've dealt with, as I've made the same arguments that you're making, but he was hurt last year.
Right.
He played injured.
Okay. Here we go. Remember that play where Jamison Crowder, it was the first Jets game. Jamison Crowder, he scored because who missed the tackle?
Could not have been Tremaine Edmunds.
Hey, it was. And you know what Mookie Hawkins told me? Mookie Hawkins said out of his own mouth. He said, that's the play Tremaine Edmunds hurt his shoulder on that play. Right? So if he would have went with proper form, because his thing is he's a super dumb athletic guy, bro. Not dumb as is stupid.
Yeah.
That's slang term from like he's really athletic. I don't want anyone to make misconstrued. I'm calling him dumb. I'm just saying he's super athletic. He's super athletic, but he's not really headsy. And linebacker is a position where you got to be smart and instinctive, and he is not either one of those. There is times, and I'm going to say this, there is times he does make some plays. The first play of the Chargers game on defense, bust through the A-gap for a pressure. Very first play. But after that, there isn't anything to speak of. He gives up a touchdown to Keelan Allen on the goal line in zone coverage. Because he's late getting over there. So it's just like.
But what about Star Lutulele not being there this year? That obviously contributed to his game, right?
I will say this. He will benefit, and he could benefit from having a big fat one tech in there to keep those centers and those guards off him. I'll agree with that. We were both, I think all four of us on our draft show was banging the table for the Bills to take Tyler Shelvin strictly.
Whoa. I was anti. I was one technique, yes, not Tyler Shelvin. Don't you put that on me, man.
He was the best one tech in the draft, though. He was the best one tech in the draft.
Out of an absolutely atrocious, shallow one tech draft, yes, he might have been.
Tommy Togiai from Ohio State's pretty good.
Those guys are. I think they're. But we're getting off to. But don't you put Tyler Shelvin on me?
But we were advocating for them to get a one tech in a draft, and just in case Star Lotulelei wasn't ready, to keep Tremaine Edmunds clean. And I would think he would definitely benefit from that. And if you're telling me that if I get him this true one tech, not Ed Oliver, who is a true three tech, Ed Oliver played one tech in college, and so now everyone thinks that's his true spot, and he did cause a lot of ruckus, but he's going against college centers and guards in Conference USA. He played at Houston. That's Conference USA. It's not like it's the SEC or the ACC or the Pac-12. So, now you don't have a true one tech. So not only is Ed Oliver getting crushed, you got Tremaine Edmunds that's constantly getting crushed by centers and guards.
Caught in the traffic. And
so now, his run defense is awful. His pass coverage ain't never been good. So, what is he really doing on the field? Like I said, there's times he makes some plays. But if I'm ending this, I will just say this. He still has a lot of tools. He's only, 23? He's 23. He's 23, so he is a relatively young player. I think the Bills picked up his fifth option. Did I think he deserved that? Absolutely not. With the strictly based on the way he played, no, he did not deserve to get his fifth-year option picked up. But whatever. Mookie Hawkins told me that they're trying to bring everybody back, so that's exactly what they did. So if I'm sitting here saying he's a super toolsy player, he has more developing to do, but let's just see his trajectory. I want to see it. I am not encouraged by his trajectory at all.
No.
And so, Greg, what do you say? Are you encouraged by his trajectory?
Dude, I'll tell you what, Daniels. I thought I was going to come out swinging and throwing haymakers and be the one that you kind of had to calm down, but now I almost have to come out and defend. You just beat Edmunds up so bad. I almost got to come out in defense of the kid.
Am I wrong?
No. You're everything you said is I'm in 100% agreement with you. I think without a doubt, Bills fans, I think most, and we're talking about the fly-by-night fans who just watch the games a little bit and don't really break down and see what's actually taking place. That just hear things get regurgitated about Pro Bowls and tackles and say, he's great. He's 6'5", and he ran a 4.4. Listen. And I almost feel like I have to clear the air with all the people I've had these, debates with over the last year or so about Tremaine Edmunds.
Oh, Greg, I just saw something. Can I say something before you go?
Ahead. Yeah.
So you know how those guys on Twitter always say Tremaine Edmunds is so great in coverage. Remember that one guy that was like, "Oh, Tremaine Edmunds locks down the middle of the field," right? Remember?
You're going to take my. Go ahead.
On the conference championship game, right, Greg? Guess how many times he was targeted? in coverage.
Was it 11?
It was 11 times. Guess how many receptions was on him?
8.
10.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm sure that one play that didn't go his way was probably a phenomenal play. But now listen. Tremaine, I think when people get lost, I said they get lost in all that kind of just buzz and things they hear and these catchphrases and they regurgitate it and they don't really know. Like you hit on right off the rip. What is Tremaine Edmunds' impact? Where are his pressures? Where are his tackles for a loss? Where are his sacks? Where are his passes defended? Where are his interceptions? Where are his forced fumbles? Where are his tackles at the line of scrimmage? Where are his, fourth down stuff? Now, obviously, there's people out there going right now looking for that one clip of him, coming through in the Cleveland game when they was it last, in 2019 when they had like the 3 goal line stand. I'm not saying he's never made a play. I'm not saying he never hit the quarterback. But you're talking about a kid who was drafted in the first round, who's 6'5", 250 pounds, who's probably, I think, arguably the most gifted linebacker athlete in the NFL. I think you could make the argument he's 1, 2, or 3 best athletes in the NFL at the linebacking position, blessed with size, length, speed. I mean, complete freak of nature. But that it very rarely shows up on film. And I don't think his issue is a physical issue.
Nope.
His is a mental issue, a processing issue, an instinctual issue. You watch him, he is late to react all the time. He bites on every play action. I get it. He's a linebacker and he's learning. But every single action, he is sucked in and he is late to react and get over the top. He's not a very good tackler. He's a absolute liability in pass coverage. In my article, he was the worst rated out of all the linebackers who had 400 snaps in coverage. He was the worst rated linebacker in the NFL last year. Okay? In pass coverage. As a blitzer, he blitzed 72 times last year. He altered the outcome of 8 plays on 72 blitzes. Now, that's atrocious. That's the impact. Now, that's what I'm talking about as when people get, now, would I say cut him or he's not worth it? No. I just think he's a average to decent linebacker who's getting all the world of hype from Buffalo fans and around the league because of what he might be able to become. He's not there yet, and I get it. People say, oh, he came in the league at 19. What upsets me by that is, I'm not in Bean's head. I don't think they drafted Tremaine Edmunds to be good in 7 years when he's 25. They drafted him to be the starting middle linebacker at 19, 20 years old. And yes, it's a testament, to him that he's been able to step on the field when most kids are going into college and he's playing a man's game. But he was not an impact player in doing the things that we drafted him to do. If you're content with Tremaine Edmunds being an average to decent linebacker who's a liability in coverage, who's a terrible blitzer, who is slow to react, who needs help up front to keep him clean, then that's our guy. Now, I disagree with you. I think we made the commitment to drafting him. I think we had to pick up his 5th-year option. We have to know. Now, he can come out this year with everything situated around him, with a healthy Milano, and him not having the shoulder injury, and Lutalele back, and the guys up front, and the OTAs and the preseason, and be the Tremaine Edmunds that everybody else already thinks he is. And I'll be happy. I want him to be that good. I want him to be the guy that everyone thinks he is. He's just not yet.
Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. To piggyback off your point, so that same guy that was at me on Twitter about, he got 120 tackles, right? I told him, I said, yo, go and watch Darius Leonard. Go and watch Levante David. And then I was going to tell you, Greg, they talk about, he made 2 Pro Bowls, bruh. Like, the Pro Bowl don't mean anything these days.
So did Tyrod Taylor. And I don't think any of us are wishing Tyrod Taylor was still our quarterback.
Like, Evan Ingram made the Pro Bowl off his worst year of his career. So what stock are we putting in that? So I'm saying to you, look at the linebackers that are top at the position. Darius Leonard, Levante David, Demario Davis from the Saints, Bobby Wagner. These are the guys. Yep. These are the guys that are Pro Bowl level, Pro Bowl caliber linebackers. If you watch Tremaine Edmunds tape and tell me he looked like Levante David and Bobby Wagner, then you lying. You straight lying.
Yeah.
Even Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard only been in the league for like 2 or 3 years.
I think
and he's already an All-Pro.
I think they're in the same draft class, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and he went to a SWAC school, or he didn't even go. He went to a HBCU. That's what he went. He went to a HBCU, so he didn't even go to a Power 5 school. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what excuse does Tremaine Edmunds have? He went to Virginia Tech. He went to a top program. So what's the excuse?
See, and that's what you're using the word excuse, and I think that's what a lot of Bills fans do, is that we make excuses. See, and that's where I get into my things. I don't make excuses. I'm a Bills fan, but I'm not a homer. I'm not just going to congratulate. And the thing that blows my mind is that we've suffered for decades with crap talent. And you would think there would be more objective fans or people who do what we do, content creators who are more objective and not just going to buy everything that comes down the lane.
Yeah, man.
We make excuses for all of our players. And instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Cody Ford, excuse after excuse. Ed Oliver, excuse after excuse. Levi Wallace, excuse after excuse. Tremaine Edmunds, excuse after excuse. Dawson Knox, excuse after excuse. Sometimes we just got to say, you know what? We didn't hit it. These guys aren't that good. We missed. They're not great players. It is what it is. Maybe next year. But we keep giving excuse after excuse that, he is good, but this, and this. Or, well, that happened and this happened, and he only plays well on Tuesdays when the stars are aligned and the moon is out, and but you wait for a full moon and you will see a Pro Bowl caliber player.
Right.
But to wrap this up here, I think we are both 100% in agreement that Bills Mafia and to some extent the NFL at large overrates Tremaine Edmunds.
Absolutely.
All right.
And I just want to say one last thing.
Please.
Before we sign off, again, to your excuses thing, there is some merit to progression. And as I have learned from studying the game, progression is not linear, meaning it just doesn't go up, and up. Sometimes there's peaks and valleys and sideways and left and right. So with that in mind, I will say, like you said, Greg, with the 5th-year option, we got to see. Because if they ran the risk of cutting him and he go to a team that'll develop him like the Ravens, and he becomes the next Ray Lewis, Bills Mafia would be they would hate Brandon Beane.
You gotta find out. You've come this far, and like I said, he's not terrible. It's not like we're hanging on to Aaron Maben here. Mm-hmm. He's a good linebacker. He's got a high ceiling. He's average to decent. Who's capable of doing some very freaky things. It's just not consistent, and he's not at the level that people proclaim he is. Mm. Now, with that being said, as we move on from that, and we probably got to drink some water, cool down after the Tremaine Edmunds explosion. We're going to move on to something that I've been seeing popping up on social media and in different content groups and stuff like that, and like we talked off air, this is a subject I think where people are just looking to talk shit, say something and get something started, as matter as ridiculous it sounds, just to get some buzz or to be the original thought and say, well, hey, if it actually comes true, I'm the one who thought of that. I have seen on multiple things this talk, a serious conversation, it seems, of moving Darrell Williams, the right tackle that we just paid right tackle money to, moving him into guard to make way for Spencer Brown, the 3rd-round draft pick from, was it Northern Iowa? Or Northern
Iowa.
So that's the conversation. Do you believe that is complete nonsense, or do you think there's any merit to that at all?
So the originator of that take, I'm not gonna give him no clout. I'm just gonna say the originator of that take. I actually watched the video that he said that take on, and I watched it all the way through, and I listened to it, and it said basically what it said was Darrell Williams, when he was in Carolina, said that he plays well on the right side. It doesn't matter if it's at guard or at tackle. He just plays well on the right side, right? So, I mean, there is some merit to that. But you have to keep in remembrance, number one, they're asinine for 3 reasons. Here's number one. Number one, he just got paid a nice deal at right tackle. He just had his career year at right tackle. Why would I move him from right tackle to right guard? If you're saying that they want the best 5 linemen out there, okay, but his best position is right tackle. Yep. He had a career year last year. So that's his best position. So he wants to play on the right side, but he just had a career year at tackle. So why would I move him in the guard if he just had a career year at tackle? Number 2, tackle play is probably the hardest thing to find in the O-line because they have to guard the most athletic people on the field, which is the D-ends and the edge rushers. They are the most athletic guys on the field. Ask any NFL player, they'll say the most athletic people on the field are the D-ends and probably the cornerbacks. So they have the toughest job to get out of their stance, either kick back or set wide or whatever, and to try to block these guys. Subsequently, they make the most money.
Yeah.
2, they make the most money. I put in our group chat the other day, look at the contract Trent Williams got for playing left tackle. So why would I move?
You got to pay money to protect somebody who makes money, correct? I mean, if
Yeah,
your biggest investment needs protection, you better pay the people protecting your investment.
Exactly, bro. And it's just like, why would I go down from making tackle money to guard money? That tackle money is different. Trent Williams got like a 10-year contract? It was a lot of years. It was more than 5 years.
He got transformer kind of money then.
Right. He got some crazy money. So I said, let's say Darrell Williams has 2 seasons like that, right? Currently, he's what, like 28 or close to 30 or something like that?
Yeah, he's on a cusp of 30. He might be 28. Yeah. That might be realistic.
Okay. All right. And Trent Williams is over 30.
Yeah.
Meaning that tackles have a long shelf life, right? So his next contract could be from another team. Let's just say it doesn't work out with Buffalo. It could be in the ballpark of what Trent Williams got. So again, why would I go play guard when some of this stuff is on the horizon? And then to bring it back to my thesis, he just had a career year at tackle, and it is the most valuable spot on the O-line, both tackle spots. So why would I go a kick inside? It doesn't make any sense, as you said.
I'm in 100% agreement with you, but if you even push all that crap aside, which every point you made is obviously it's resonating. It's you speak no falsehood, sir. But who are you making way for? Mm-hmm. For who? Now I could see if there was a situation, and we're just making this up here, hypothetically speaking. Now say last year, Deion Dawkins was hurt, and Ryan Bates played for him and played at a all-pro level last year. Deion Dawkins comes back. You got Williams there. Now you have Bates, who's a great tackle. Well, you got to fit him in somewhere. And maybe you would consider moving someone down to get you, like you said, your best 5. That's an absolute hypothetical, and we don't have that situation anywhere near Buffalo. You have Darrell Williams, who played his best season as an NFL player last year protecting Josh Allen. We just paid him tackle money. I think it's a pretty reasonable contract. I don't think he didn't break any records, but I think he got the payday he earned and deserved. Mm-hmm. And people are correlating this with, wow, Spencer Brown. And now this is where I look into, you don't know football. If you could look at Spencer Brown, who's a freak athlete in his own right, 6'8", 320 pounds, I mean, length, all that stuff, and think that kid is ready to step in and play right tackle next year, and he's good enough to play right tackle and move Darrell Williams into guard, you don't know football. And I will say this, how did Cody Ford do, who was a extremely polished, extremely NFL-ready prospect coming out of Oklahoma in the Big 12, who played against Big 12 competition? How did he translate to the NFL at right tackle in his first year? 15 games he started, and he was rated one of the worst offensive tackles in the NFL for those 15 games. And he was far, far, far ahead of what Spencer Brown is. And he could not hang out there. We had to move him inside to protect him. And I'm not saying Spencer Brown is not going to be a good tackle. He's not capable of becoming a good tackle. But that kid is not ready right now. If you go and watch his film, and if you go and watch his Senior Bowl tape, there's a lot of technical issues in his game. Yes, he's a great specimen. Yes, he looks fantastic in pads and the measurables and all that stuff. But like you just said, the most gifted athletes on the field are your pass rushers. Mm-hmm. This kid is now making the jump from Division I AA football, who probably went against, I would say, 0 NFL caliber pass rushers. He went to a Senior Bowl week where he finally came across NFL caliber pass rushers and did decent. He didn't dominate. He didn't maul people. He had a lot of good plays, and there was a lot of ugly film on Spencer Brown. Now, that's fine because you can correct some of his issues going forward, and you can help that kid out. And I think in a year, 2, 3, he could be a starting tackle. And I think that's what the plan is that Darrell Williams is gonna hold the door for a potential Spencer Brown move. But that's 2, 3 years away. We are not moving Darrell Williams into guard, and I think that's an attention-grabbing, asinine comment. And
then, like, on top of that, I mean, Darrell Williams has a lot of stuff working for him. Like, he's one of like four right tackles that is like in the top has a 70+ run blocking grade and pass blocking grade for PFF. So he gets it done in both assets. And then on top of that, I mean, what his best performance last year was against arguably the best pass rusher last year, TJ Watt.
Yeah.
And what are the Bills? Who's the Bills' first game against? TJ Watt.
Yeah.
So you telling me that Spencer Brown gonna hold TJ Watt to one pressure?
Dude, there's almost a part of me that wants to see that, just for commentary like that. To say, hey, Spencer Brown, go out against JJ Watt. And you know what? Come to preseason.
No, TJ Watt, not JJ.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Either way, it would still be a train wreck.
Right.
But we're gonna find out in the preseason when this kid has to put the pads on and play against consistent in a game situation against NFL caliber players. And like I said, I'm not hoping the kid does bad. I'm just being realistic. It's not going to be a pretty thing. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road. I mean, look to Cody Ford.
Yeah, like you had mentioned before, it's just like there's a lot of technical issues. Like you have to think so the Bills' first 4 games are against the Steelers, Dolphins, Washington, and the Texans, right?
No
so
pass rushers in that mix, huh?
Bro, he's gonna have to go against TJ Watt and Chase Young. Like these dudes know how to get leverage, and he's 6'8". Yeah. So he don't know how to navigate the leverage between actual defensive actual edge rushers who do this for real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Division I AA, that's cool. And the Senior Bowl is all right, but he ain't played nobody like Chase Young. He ain't played nobody like TJ Watt. But you want to throw him out there week 1?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
On the verge of paying Josh Allen buco bucks and making him, the highest paid player in franchise history. You're going to throw a 3rd-round draft pick who has developmental issues out there in lieu of a right tackle who just played his best season at right tackle, and you're trying to figure out Cody Ford on the guard. So I think we're in agreement. I think that's just hogwash, and I think somebody was looking for clicks, and he got it. You know what I'm saying? We're sitting here, we're on this show, we're talking about it. I guess, credit to whoever came up with that. Thank you for giving me a 10-minute segment on my show to talk about that commentary.
Here's some pushback though, and this is where I think people get lost in the shuffle and they don't understand what an outlier is. What if someone's like, well, Tristan Wirfs came in and was a starting right tackle and he was a rookie and they won a Super Bowl, and Tristan Wirfs is like top 2 or 3 right tackles in the league. If you watch this tape at Iowa, you could see that dude was going to be that guy when he got to the league. Like you knew right away.
I mean, Tristan Wirfs as a prospect was far more NFL ready than Spencer
Way
Brown.
More, bro.
And like I said, and if you're going to make that comment, then you're just going off of something you saw on the internet and pass that on, because if you're evaluating prospect to prospect, you're literally evaluating apples to oranges, because Tristan Wirfs was very NFL ready. I don't think any of us. I didn't think he was that NFL ready, but it didn't surprise me that he was penciled in as this day 1 starter. I was shocked that he had the success that he was as dominant as he was. But I think he was definitely a starting caliber right on off the rip type of tackle.
I was not at all. I had actually scouted him, and I was like, yo, like I seen how The only thing I saw from him that was a knock was the fact that he couldn't deal with those small rushes. But that's any tackle that's like 6'5", 6'6", and you go up against a rusher that's like 6'2", 6'1", you know, and they can get up under your pads.
Yeah.
But he anchored really well when that happened to him. It wasn't like he got dominated. You know, he would get pushed back and lose the pocket integrity, but it wasn't like he was getting destroyed though. And that was literally like all his tape. That was literally the only thing I could literally nitpick and say that was his issue. So I knew right away. I said he was the best tackle in the draft. So
yeah,
you know, I don't think Spencer Brown has that type of capability.
No,
so that's
and Spencer Brown, and you look at where Wirfs was a wrestler. He was a mauler. He was very physical. He was physical getting up to the second level. He drove on people and he grinded them out. Brown is as big as he is. He's if you look at him proportion wise, he's very thin. You know, and he's 315 or whatever. He's probably realistically to fill out properly needs to be about 330. You know, he's 6'8", so I mean he's got inches on people, and you know he's a finesse player, which is great. I think that's kind of where the NFL is heading, and especially how we operate our offense. But he doesn't have that. He's not a good straight line blocker. He's more of an angle blocker. He's quick enough to surprise people on down blocks and stuff like that, and get to the second level and cover up. But he is not a mauler by any stretch of imagination. And but hey, I think we're in agreement, and now we are going to move on to another topic. We'll spend a little bit of time on this. I don't think too much, but obviously the running back debate has been out there. We've talked about the running back issues and where we stand on that. Matt Breida. Now I don't think that conversation has gotten enough talk thus far. I think everyone was high on, Etienne or Najee Harris or get rid of Singletary, or running backs suck, and all that noise that I don't think people really appreciated or took the time to analyze how low-key, a good low-key signing the Matt Breida signing was for this offense. Do you think he crashes as a signing, or do you think he splashes as a signing?
Splash. I wouldn't go as far as splash.
I used it because crash and splash. It got to give you credit. It sounds good.
It do.
You know
it do sound good.
So okay, I'll switch up. Do you think he'll make any impact whatsoever?
Yes, I think he will definitely have an impact. I think he will definitely give this running back room an added element of speed that he has shown that he can do. The Bills are a great zone scheme type of run team, and they should employ more of that. That is what Breida can do. He played in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, who was probably, between him and McVay, he is probably the best at running that wide zone system and scheming up plays to execute that to perfection. And he was very productive in that often. He also is a very fast running back. I think he has the fastest touchdown of like 30 yards in the league or something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Analytics, the advanced like he ran, like a cheetah or something. They timed him out the speed that he ran it on the field. Yeah,
right. If he is running outside zone and he hits that cutback, he will go to the house on it if you do not have anybody covering that cutback lane. He will take it to the house. And the Bills lack that. And they got him for a nice price. That is the thing, though. That is the most important thing. You have to get cheap talent at these positions that are least valuable. And running back, however you want to slice it, any running back that's not Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara or Saquon Barkley, I'll say that.
Yeah,
it's
so like 29 other running backs in the league.
Right, exactly. This is at least not a very valuable position, and you can get away with signing 3 guys that do different things and that can just come in and contribute. I mean, the Chiefs have been doing this for the 2 years, and they've been to back-to-back Super Bowls. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you got to take in consideration positional value. I had not had any type of education on what positional value was until I started working for PFF and like just understanding like what it is. And it's something that you can't ignore. If I'm paying a running back, $1.5 million, for the next 2 years, and I'm getting 1,000 yards per year, it's just like, that's a great signing.
Yeah. It's a great investment. Yeah.
And it's, whereas I'm paying Travis Etienne, if like TFC was saying on our one show, you would have to pay him $11 million. And then your offensive line sucks, and now Travis Etienne looks like crap. And so it's just like your offensive line, that is what you should build up. That is what, you need to put your investment in. And Breida, again, He is a guy that can take advantage of outside zone and zone running, which the Bills are really good at. So, yes, he will definitely make a contribution if given the opportunity. Now, how they're going to divvy up the carries, that's one thing. I don't know.
Yeah, see,
I like
that
Go
was
ahead. Yeah.
that was my question. There is do you think? Now, I think we all agree last year. I think a lot of things got kind of overlooked and glossed over with the COVID situation, the OTAs, no preseason. Now that everything is back to square, do you think Dable's going to give more attention to developing this run game, or do you think we're going to see what we saw last year and it's just Josh Allen's show and that's that?
Listen, man, I pray to God he do. That's all I'm gonna say because you don't know. I mean, his track record has shown that he's a pass first guy. They had in the Ravens playoff game they ran the ball one time in one half. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has shown that he want to pass it all over the yard.
See, to me, is that a thing of, somebody made the point to me, and I would get up without getting off too far about Dawson Knox. Well, we said, well, why should we go out and get a tight end? We don't really use a tight end. Is he not using the tight end because he doesn't have faith in the tight end? So are we not running the ball because our offensive line is deficient in run blocking? So it's well, I'm not going to dial up a 2-yard loss here. I'd rather have Josh Allen look to Stephon Diggs for an 8-yard gain. Is that? Do you think it's somewhere in between there where we would like to run the ball a little bit more, but we're not being productive with it? So why would I change an 8-yard gain in a pass for a net zero gain in the run play?
I mean, honestly, based on what analytics say, he's doing the right thing. Passing it all over the yard. Honestly, the amount that he's running is about what you need to succeed. The Chiefs were the only team that ran the least amount than the Bills. The Bills ran the second least in the league, and they were able to make it to the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
So both teams that ran the least in the league made it to the AFC Championship.
See, I wouldn't know. I'd have to look at it, and you're probably the guy to ask. How productive were the Chiefs in the limited times that they ran the ball? I feel like with that offensive line, and I'm just going on just what I saw them and the times that we've played them.
Yeah.
I feel like when they did run it, they were successful in running it. Where I feel like we didn't run it as much because we weren't successful running the football, and it became a take the good over the bad.
Yes. So to answer your question, actually, the Chiefs were to your point, you're exactly right. The Chiefs were the ninth highest graded per PFF, the eighth highest graded run team in terms of their run grade. So actual running backs making yards and making positive plays, they were eighth. So you're absolutely right.
See, we have to find somebody who can get this show in front of Bean and McDermott. I gotta be in the office somewhere. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like I
you're
think,
on it, man. You on it right now, bro. You're on it.
So, but what I'm saying is, I think that their passing game was so good that people had to sell out and cover that. You get a lot of nickel and dime personnel out there. You got a lot of smaller guys on the field trying to cover all that speed. Running the ball with their offensive line was probably a success because they were going up against personnel groups that weren't adept at stopping the run, where the Bills were spreading teams out and doing that, but we didn't have the offensive line that could create those seams and those things. So, which kind of concerns me because we didn't do much to upgrade that. We're bringing back the same group, the same exact cast of characters, minus a Forrest Lamp, who is really just kind of a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could.
Yeah.
He's at this point it's safe to say he's a bust, and he's looking for a second wind here in Buffalo and to push some competition, I think. But what we haven't seen from this offensive line is a consistent ability to create running lanes. Now, when I put out there in defense of our, Moss and Singletary, who got beat up this year, and I think that is a testament to people who just don't know football. Oh, they stink. Oh, they can't do this. They don't do. You go back and you watch those games, and I don't have the stats off my head, but I put them in the article that I wrote months ago. That these guys were the amount of contact that they were getting, the negative plays that they were getting, what was any running back outside of probably Barry Sanders can't do that on their own. They needed the help. So I think to me, either this offseason and the OTAs and all that stuff is going to get the chemistry right. We're going to be healthy up front. Feliciano is, going to be healthy. Cody Ford's going to be situated where he's going to play. You got the Darrell Williams locked in, and not Spencer Brown,
Right.
and Deion Dawkins and Mitch Morse. That maybe this thing gets situated and we have a little bit more success in our scheme up front.
So I'm gonna push back just a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
lay it on me, man.
So again, for
That's why I brought you in here, bro.
Right. For PFF, I was able to watch most of the Bills run blocking snaps at the beginning of the year, and I've said this many times on the show. At the beginning of the year, they were the 5th highest graded zone blocking team. They were actually doing pretty well. But
how many games in was that?
5
Okay.
games in. I remember that.
It's
It was
a good
actually
sample
week
size.
5. Right. I mean, I think it was a pretty decent sample size.
Yeah.
So they finished the year with a 69.6 run blocking grade, right? And that was good for 15th in the league. So they were just above, halfway.
The
They were
average
just,
threshold.
Yeah, they're average, and that's kind of what I saw on tape. They started out really well, and then towards the end of the year when they started suffering injuries at key spots, like Morris got hurt.
Yeah.
He missed the game with a concussion.
A lot of flipping
Feliciano
around.
a lot of flipping. Feliciano was hurt. Then you had Winners, and then you
Winners
had
in there,
Bodiger in
Ford
there.
in and out, Bodiger.
Right, it was a lot of flipping and exchanging, and it's just like, as Zach Moss said on his interview that he did with that other network, he said, it was just about us, not running it, running it more, and you can't get a continuity, as you spoke to. You can't get continuity run blocking if you don't have a solid unit out there, and that's kind of what the grade reflects. Is just like they started out really well, and and then those last couple games, it was just atrocious, So 69.6 is like they was all right. Basically,
Yeah.
there was an okay run blocking team. Though that game against the Chiefs was atrocious. Against the Ravens, they barely even ran. You guys remember what was at the end of the season, and that was what was at the end of the season. The bad blocking. So I will agree with you there, but I wouldn't say they sucked at run blocking, because they really didn't suck at run blocking. It was just towards the end of the year they started sucking at run
But see,
blocking.
what I also think, to piggyback my comment, and then we'll move on to the next question, but to piggyback my comment is that I think the Bills did a poor job. I think they were very predictable in the down and distances where they chose to run, the formations in which they ran, the personnel groupings that they had on the field when they run. I think they became very predictable in the times when they chose to run it, which I think put their offensive line at a disadvantage, knowing that, obviously these people study film. They know what they're doing. These guys live, eat, sleep football. And as defensive side of the ball, your defensive quarters, everyone's seeing the same kind of personnel groupings, the same formations. I think they became predictable in what they were doing. Now, with that being said, I think we both are in agreement that Matt Breida is going to have some impact this year. I think he's going to help them. I think he's going to have a couple explosive plays. I think he's going to be utilizing the pass game, some screen stuff like that. And I think he's going to bring in that element of speed that this offense, especially out of the backfield, has been kind of longing for. But with that being said, moving on.
And one thing before we move on, I just want to, because I want to show Devin Singletary some love.
Yeah,
he get beat up a lot. PFF put out their top 32 running backs list. He was number 22. Mm-hmm. Remember that, man. He's not as bad as you guys think he is. He is actually a good back.
I am very high on the kid. I think I went back and especially was the last 2 weeks. I went back and watched the entire 2020 season, every snap.
Nice.
And it took me a couple days, here and there. But what kept popping to me was, damn, this kid, when he gets past that line of scrimmage, he gets the opportunity to make people miss. He's very, very productive.
Yes,
and I
sir.
think just getting him that seam, because he's, like I said, we all agree, he's not a Matt Breida. He's not a 4.2 40 guy. He needs that daylight, and from there he could make yards and make people miss and be a tough tackle and move chains. And I think give him that opportunity this year. And I said it on one of the other shows. I think he's going to be a 1,200 yards from scrimmage guy this year. I think I think he's going to be able to have 700-800 yards rushing, another 400 or 500 yards, receiving the ball.
You think he gets more touches than Zach Moss?
I personally, I like him better than Zach Moss. That was the other thing that stuck out to me. I know Zach Moss didn't impress me in terms of what he was to me was supposed to be, this sledgehammer running back who's gonna. And the comment he made was about making tacklers make a business decision when they came. I didn't see that from him. In fact, he seemed to go down relatively one-on-one. He lost those matchups more times than he won those matchups. So I feel like you have the shiftiness and the receiving threat of Singletary, and you have the home run threat of Breida. I don't know. To me personally, I think in that trio, Zach Moss, I don't know. I don't know what his skill set is. It's not. I don't know where it fits in his skill set. You know, he doesn't have the home run speed. He's not the sledgehammer back. And he was used on short yard situations a little bit more than Singletary was last year, and he didn't look particularly successful in doing that. So, I mean, that's my take. But moving on to our final question of the night, and like I said, I wanted to end on a good note. That's why I ordered them at such. And now, I think this is a great conversation to have. Is we're going into year 4 now with Josh Allen. We've seen the maturation from Wyoming, from the combine, all the way up into the AFC Championship game of last year. How high is Josh Allen's ceiling from what we've seen on his resume, from Wyoming to that raw quarterback with a big arm, to the combine, to all the bumps and bruises and the peaks and valleys, to the AFC Championship game? How good could he be?
I think his ceiling is the roof. Nah, I'm playing. Honestly, man, if I'm being totally serious, bro, I think he got the skill set to be the best quarterback in the league, like hands down, like Rodgers. Like, he has that type of, ceiling and that type of skill set where, he could be rushing for 10 touchdowns a year, and then he could be throwing for close to 5,000 yards a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With like 40 passing touchdowns, and that's going to be Hall of Fame numbers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he could definitely be in the conversation for, best quarterback ever. Like, he has that skill set, and I know that may be a
Wait,
lot.
Whoa. Let's back. In the
I said what I said, man.
I just want to.
I said what I said.
I want to take it out of context and make sure I heard what I heard.
He has the skill set to be the best quarterback to ever play the game. Now, listen to what I said. Now,
I'm not
skill set
with you. In the NFL or for Buffalo?
In the NFL.
Okay. You heard it. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
But that wasn't me who said that first. Jordan Palmer said he was the most gifted quarterback he's ever coached.
I agree.
Yeah, and like I said,
it's a bold statement, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, he's 24, going on 25. He's about to turn 25 in next week, honestly, May 21st. He'll be 25.
Happy early birthday, Josh.
Right. So I mean, he's still at a point where he can get better. His only issue, the only issue I have, the only thing I can see.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where do you think his deficiencies are still lying right now after the year he just had?
He has deficiencies, and they bother me because the deficiencies that he has is what Brady, is what Rodgers, is what not Russell Wilson so much, but Brady and Rodgers. I'll use them. Those are where they excel at, specifically Brady, because one thing about Brady is he is not going to lose the game for you. And you say, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is Josh makes a lot of plays that takes them out of favorable down and distances. I'll go back to the Miami game. They bust through the line and they sack him, right? But instead of just taking the sack and staying in field goal range, he backs up, and they're out of field goal range now. No, I'm sorry. That was the Colts game. Forgive me. I'm thinking of Mahomes. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Mahomes. My bad. I meant the Colts game. My bad.
The
Colts game, yeah. They were in field goal range, and somebody, I forgot who it was, who busted the line, but as Josh usually does, tries to stiff arm 5 linemen and tries to make a play instead of just taking the loss, taking the points, and getting out of there. What did he do? Backs up, knocks them out of field goal range, and now that was a possession that they lost. That was a scoring opportunity that they lost. Brady does not do stuff like that, partly because he can't move like
Brady
that.
Can't do that.
Right, he can't move like Josh, but Brady excels at plays like that, knowing the down and distance, knowing that we're in field goal range, so we need this. So if I got to take a sack to keep us in field goal range, I'm going to do that. Getting the ball out quick, just taking short yardage plays. Josh does not do that well. His mental, he has to get better at the mental and the fundamentals of playing quarterback. Another issue. Go ahead.
What I'm going to say with that is, how much success has he had? And that's a tough thing with him. Is where do you dial it back in? Because you can go through his whole career thus far and find plays where you're saying, just go down, go. Oh my God, he completed it. Like, he's had a lot of success being that cowboy, that gunslinger, that the play that is never over for him, and he's had success. He's also had some blunders where you're just going, oh my God, just go down. What are you doing? He's got the ball all over the place. He's pushing this one down. He's twisting, and the ball's on the ground. And then you say to yourself, oh God. But you've also seen him a week before that complete it for 10 yards or turn it into a touchdown. And where do you say to him, how do you teach that kid to not almost do what he's instinctually good at doing that has brought a lot of success to this team, to him, and say, hey, not so much?
The thing is, see, you mentioned it before. He's getting ready to make upwards of $200 million, and he probably will be the highest paid player in Buffalo history. Buffalo would rather him not do those plays, those Superman plays, and check it down than to do those plays and get hurt.
Yeah.
Because if we have to rely on Mitchell Trubisky to get us to 10 wins, I don't know if I'm confident in that.
I'm more confident in Mitchell Trubisky than I was in
Matt Barkley.
Matt Barkley, thank you. Yeah,
I'll agree with that, but I don't want to have to trot Mitchell Trubisky out there. Agreed. When I have a running back like Devin Singletary out there that can make people miss, and if I give him the ball on a check down, he can make a guy miss and get a first down. I'd rather see that than a super. Obviously, there is times where you have to make plays off schedule. Obviously, we know that. I mean, that's what makes Josh. But he has to be smarter. So to answer your question, it's something that you can't coach. Can't coach out of him. They never coached out of Brett Favre. They don't coach it out of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
you can't coach it out of him. You can just only encourage him, like, yo, why don't you do the check down instead of, trying to stiff our fire line? Why don't you just take the sack, keep us in field goal range instead of, trying to do this? Because it only takes one hit. That one hit he had 2 years ago against the Patriots when it was a helmet-to-helmet hit and they thought he had a concussion, or when he hurt his ankle. Like, if Josh goes down, the team is going to go to crap. I don't care what anyone says. They're not going to be competitive, and so he has to understand that. And he's probably not going to do it right away. But, once he gets that money –
yeah, it's a business. A business decision, and say, hey, listen, man, I don't want to end up, on the sidelines and all that stuff, and not making his money. But and the thing too is that you were just hitting on it about the team going to crap, and I think that's, to correlate it with Josh Allen. This team last year, obviously, I'm not saying anything genius here. That without Josh Allen, we wouldn't have been good. I think that's obviously the most underrated statement. But he bailed this team out so many times, being Josh Allen, that when I went back and I watched, we were a very average team. I don't we had Stephon Diggs and stuff like that, and I think our defense was bend but don't break, and we made the plays when we had to, and I think Josh Allen to me was the MVP because he made it all work. He made that team. If you took Josh Allen out of there and inserted, another put Phillip Rivers on that team, or one of those other mid-level quarterbacks, they're an 8-win team. I think Josh Allen was that good last year, and he made this, I think, a very average squad. I think if you went down player to player and made the comparison around the league, I think we're an average team with an exceptionally talented MVP caliber quarterback and that's how it's supposed to work. Your quarterback's supposed to make your players better, your team better. We have a couple stars plugged in here and there. But I think Josh Allen, like you said, I think at the end of this thing, can be one of the best players to ever do this thing. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a homer. If you look at where this kid came from, 2018, Josh Allen looked awful. Yep. I think the vast majority of us said, oh, here we go again. Another, when is this thing going to be over? 4 years, 5 years? When do we get to move on from this mess? Here's this poor kid. He's throwing a ball. He's getting sacked. He looked awful. I mean, there was time he just threw the ball up. We had Robert Foster catch it. Okay, great. He's got a great arm. But the football part of Josh Allen, the accuracy, the understand, it was a mess. And where we are right now, with a guy that was in the conversation to be the MVP last year, and I think he should have been.
Well, he finished what, second or third?
Second.
He was in the conversation.
No. But I'm saying I think he should have been the MVP.
I don't know about that.
That's me. I think he should.
Okay, I was about to say Rodgers was literally lighting literally every team up that he played, bro.
I'm not
I
saying
like Josh.
I'm not saying
nah.
Rodgers didn't deserve it. I'm just saying in terms of without him, I think he was there and he made all these things happen for the Bills and brought this franchise to the forefront. But going forward, now think about how much better he got with the different pieces around him, bringing in Stephon Diggs, building this thing around him. The more help he's going to get, the better he's going to be. And I think it's realistic next year he can throw for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, and rush for another 10. I think that's possible. I know it's it's
not out of the realm of possibility. One of the guys I like, my man Justice General, he said that he thought Josh could throw for 5,500. And at first when he said it, I was like, but I looked at what Josh had threw for last year. It was 53-61. So it was like 200 yards off. So it's not out of the realm. Granted, though, that now you have an extra game. So okay,
the numbers should go up. Yeah.
I did go back and look. So Drew Brees has the most 5,000 yard passing seasons in NFL history. He actually had a season where he shot for 6,000 yards. I think Josh could probably get to 6,000 yards due to the fact that he pushes it. Like I looked at how many attempts that it would take for him to do that. It's close to like 700. He had 692 passing attempts this year. So he would need 700 to get close to like the 6,000 mark. I think he could do it. You know what I mean? And they push it down the field enough.
Yeah. And it's like I said, I think we're in store for a very big year. I don't see. I know a lot of detractors around the league. Oh, there's going to be the slump and the regression. It happens.
It's definitely going to be some regression. No question about it. It's definitely going to be some regression.
But if he could Josh Allen?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, listen, they're going to start playing him different. They're going to start playing the whole Bills team differently. They're not just going to let Josh, sit back there because now he can actually pick apart defenses now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but to look to the flip side of that, look at the defensive coordinators. How are you going to stop him? Because he can rush. He can go get a first down with his legs. He can make plays off script. He can throw off platform. There isn't anything Josh can't do as a quarterback physically. Yeah. Not one thing.
I think you're going to have a lot of teams do what Kansas City did and just come and make you make the throws. And I think that's got to be something where obviously, Dable and them are preparing for that and, changing their script and having those safety valves and having quicker releases and Josh Allen understanding that the pressure and where it's coming from. But I think he's going to be under a lot. But I think if you look at where the maturation has come from and where this kid started to where he is now and how much better he's gotten every year. And we're not just talking about in statistics, but in the grasp of the game and the confidence you have in him. And every time he drops back there where those things that we all said, you can't teach accuracy in the NFL. You can't teach that. Well, here's a kid who is probably one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks coming out of college, and he finished with just under 70% completion percentage this year. You can teach it, so think about how much better he's going to be and can be with a team that's getting better around him, with another year with OTAs and the preseason and all that stuff to kind of get this chemistry and pick up where they left off. And you got the addition of Emmanuel Sanders. I think we're gonna have a better running game, a more consistent running game, and I think you're gonna see. I believe a better version of Dawson Knox this year, who I think is going to help Josh Allen take that next step.
Well, I mean, if you have faith in Dawson Knox that he's going to take his next step, that's cool.
I'm not saying he's going to be George Kittle. I just think he's going to be a better Dawson Knox, and I think he's going to contribute more and be somewhat more reliable.
You know why I agree with that take? It's because they brought in Jacob Hollister, who's actually a solid tight end. And if he does not get it done, and I had the option to put Jacob Hollister in and get tight end 1 reps, that's who I would want.
I mean, Hollister is basically what Dawson Knox is going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Dawson Knox is he's a lot more athletically gifted than Hollister is, but Hollister is just a more solid player.
Yeah, but I'm saying I think that's I don't think he has I don't think he's going to be much. Like I said, I don't think he's going to be George Kittle. I think if anybody's on that train of the Dawson turning into that, I don't think he's that player, but I think he's capable of being a better football player, and in doing so, making Josh Allen, helping Josh Allen get across the road.
I don't get that.
Yeah, but So we've hit all our hot topics, and I think we've done a tremendous job in doing so. I think we've kind of cleared the air and went over it all, and took on what's been passed around Twitter and social media and everything pertaining to the Bills. So I want to take this time. I want to thank you for coming on, Mr. Daniels. As always, tremendous insight, and I love talking to you. I love spitting with you about everything about Bills. And if you guys want to follow EJ Daniels, tell them how to get a hold of you there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on Twitter every single day, looking for Bills Mafia's takes, so I can destroy anybody who has crap takes like we do today. So it's at eDaniels77. I'm looking for all you guys. I'm looking for all the hot takes. So if you got them, just shoot me a DM, hit me, do whatever, and you're gonna get an immediate response because I'm here for all of it.
I love it. I love it. And you can find me on Twitter at thesportsbully1, and make sure you guys are following coldfrontreport.com, checking us out on all our social media there. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter. And you're not going to get better content than you will from the Cold Front Report team. That is a fact. So if you're looking for your daily dose of what's going on in the Bills world, make sure you check us out. But until next time, thank you guys for tuning in, and stay safe out there, fellas.